Good evening and thank you for joining us on India Business Hour. I'm Parikshit Luthra. Let's begin with the big headlines we are tracking. Nearly 8 years after it was signed, Maruti Suzuki terminates the controversial contract manufacturing agreement with Suzuki in Gujarat, agrees to buy out Suzuki's stake in the factory. Board is yet to decide on how the equity will be acquired and in what form. Maruti reports a mixed bag in Q1 as profits and revenue beat estimates but margins fall short. Nestle India CMD Suresh Narayanan says penetration-led volume growth is the core strategy for the company. Adds food inflation remains a concern but expects 7 to 8% volume growth if inflation remains at moderate levels. Also adds company spending 6,000 crore rupees in fresh capex, denies acquisition of Ching's Secret, says no such proposal before the board. It's the end of an era at Flipkart. Co-founder Binny Bansal and two early investors, Tiger Global and Accel, exit. Walmart buys out their stake, pays $1.4 billion to Tiger Global. Flipkart's valuation stands at over $35 billion. Kotak Mahindra Bank denies a Bloomberg report which claimed RBI is nudging the bank to pick an external CEO after Uday Kotak. Bank says there is no formal or informal communication from the RBI on succession and potential stake sale in insurance arms. Calls the report completely incorrect and baseless. Delhi High Court refuses SpiceJet's plea seeking that interest on arbitral award to Kalanithi Maran be waived off. Says they see no reason to interfere with the 2018 decision. Maran is claiming an unpaid interest due of 386 crore rupees. Taiwan's Foxconn signs an agreement with Tamil Nadu to invest 1,600 crore rupees to build an electronic component manufacturing facility. The proposed facility on the outskirts of Chennai is expected to generate 6,000 jobs. Tamil Nadu IT Minister and member of the GOM on online gaming says it's important to find consensus on how 28% GST should be charged. Also questions why a group of ministers was formed if the 28% tax was just a reiteration. Supreme Court pulls up the Manipur police over the grisly video of two women being sexually assaulted and paraded naked on the streets. Apex Court asks, why did the police take 14 days to file a case? The women called for an independent probe by a special investigation team and opposed the government's move to transfer the case to the CBI. A railway constable shoots dead 3 passengers and an assistant sub-inspector on board a train heading to Mumbai from Jaipur. Gets arrested by police while allegedly attempting to run away. Uneven rainfall casts a cloud on the Kharif sowing season. India could face a shortage in a variety of crops, which could lead to a jump in the food import bill. Let's start with the market action. Indian indices closed with gains after a range-bound session. Benchmark Sensex and Nifty ended trade near the day's high. Meanwhile, mid-caps continue to outperform with that index posting a record close. The big story tonight, nearly 8 years after it was signed, Maruti Suzuki has terminated the controversial contract manufacturing agreement with Suzuki in Gujarat. Maruti has agreed to buy out Suzuki's stake in the factory by mutual consent. The board is yet to decide on how the equity will be acquired and in what form. Remember, it was in 2015 when Maruti Suzuki received minority shareholder approval for sourcing cars manufactured by Suzuki Motor Corporation in Gujarat. Maruti had first announced the plan in January 2014 and the plan had raised strong concerns from investors and proxy advisors. One of the concerns was that Suzuki would sell cars to Maruti at a higher price than what would have cost the company if it had manufactured the cars itself. At least 14 asset management companies had rejected the deal in the beginning, and that's why Maruti had to go to shareholders. Now, 8 years on, this deal has been terminated. Maruti Suzuki will now acquire the production plant of Suzuki Motor Corporation in Gujarat within FY24. The EV production will now be done by Maruti Suzuki instead of SMC. R.C. Bhargav, the executive chairman of Maruti Suzuki, said the valuation of the acquisition of SMC Gujarat facility has not been done yet and it depends on the book value. He also pointed out that the battery plant of SMC will be a separate entity from this transaction and that the company is open to negotiations on that with Suzuki in the future. The company in a release said that Maruti Suzuki would have to increase production capacity to about 4 million cars per annum by 2030, almost double from current levels. And production of different powertrains would coexist across several locations for a reasonably long period of time. And managing this production at such a scale and complexity would pose serious challenges. Therefore, the board has decided to terminate the agreement with SMC for efficiency and simplifying the structure. Now, in terms of the cars manufactured at the SMC plant, there will be no change, and the consideration for the acquisition would be decided at the next board meeting.
Today, in the board, taken a decision that the contract manufacturing agreement will be terminated by mutual consent of both the parties. And as a consequence of that, there's a provision in the CMA by which we have the option to buy 100% of the equity of SMC in the Gujarat company. How this equity will be acquired, in what form, is yet to be decided, and for that we'll have a subsequent board meeting in the next several days.
And staying with Maruti Suzuki, the automaker has reported a mixed set of first quarter earnings. Profits and revenue growth is on target, but margins are below estimates at just over 9%. The big newsmaker of the day, Nestle India's chairman and managing director Suresh Narayanan, has said that the penetration-led volume growth has been their core strategy, and it will continue, even as he admitted that food inflation has been a concern. In an interview with CNBC-TV18's Shireen Bhan, Narayanan said that they were looking at 7 to 8% volume growth if inflation remains at moderate levels. He also said that the premiumization on trend was playing out across the portfolio. On the capex issue, the Nestle India top boss said that they had a blueprint of 6,000 crores, added that there are some 30 projects on the anvil. However, Narayanan cleared the air on reports that they were in the race to buy Capital Foods, the company behind the brand Ching's. He said there is no acquisition proposal in front of the board as yet.
21 quarters have been double-digit growth. In that, almost 15 out of the 26 quarters have been quarters of double-digit profit growth. The return on equity of the company is close to 100%. The innovation rate has been clicking at over 5% of sales. 7-year track record of the company shows an organic growth of close to 11% and an underlying volume growth of 7%, 7 to 8%. A strong trend towards premiumization of brands. So consumers are trending up in terms of certain categories, brands, and certain preferences. I think it's fair to say that that this is a matter that the board is seized of, and in fact we will have discussions with the Nestle India board on the entire royalty issue and what is the nature of it and how important it is and what should be the final number. Whatever will be done fairly, which will be done in the interests of not just the stakeholders but also the interests of the minority shareholders.
And you can catch the full interview with Nestle India's Suresh Narayanan at 9:30 p.m. right here on CNBC TV18. And the growth of India's 8 key infrastructure sectors was 8.2% in June 2023 compared to the year-ago month. This due to a decline in the production of crude oil, natural gas and electricity, according to a government press release. However, this is the highest level of growth the core sector has registered since January 2023. 7 out of the 8 sectors reported an increase in production, while the production of crude oil declined by 0.6% during June 2023. And China's manufacturing activity contracted for a 4th consecutive month. Manufacturing PMI came in at just over 49 in July. China's non-manufacturing PMI came in at 51.5, and this figure was this year's weakest reading. Just last week, China's top leaders described the country's economic recovery as tortuous, attributing it to insufficient domestic demand, among other challenges. And European stocks gained as headline inflation continued its downward trajectory. Inflation in the bloc slowed to 5.3% in July. To top that off, GDP growth expanded by 0.3% in the second quarter, marginally better than expectations. It's the end of an era at Flipkart. Co-founder Binny Bansal and two early investors, Tiger Global and Accel, have exited the company. Walmart has paid $1.4 billion to buy out hedge fund Tiger Global's remaining 4% stake in Flipkart. The e-commerce firm's valuation stands at nearly $38 billion. Aishwarya Anand joins us with more details.
That's right. Flipkart's earliest investors, Tiger Global and Accel, have divested stakes to Walmart. The US retail giant has paid $1.4 billion to buy out Tiger Global's investment in Flipkart and also acquired Accel's remaining 1% stake in the company. Tiger Global, which held around 4% stake in Flipkart, was one of its key investors, and this marks one of the largest cash exits for the fund. Tiger Global invested nearly $1.2 billion in the e-commerce company since 2009. Later, the company began to reduce its stake in the e-commerce major and sold part of its Flipkart stake to SoftBank Group in 2017. Its investment helped the company in generating $3.5 billion in gains. Now, after the transaction, the value of Flipkart rose $35 billion from nearly $38 billion. Remember, Walmart acquired a majority stake of 77% in Flipkart for about $16 billion in 2018. The US retail giant's stake in Flipkart will rise to about 77% from 72% with these deals. Now, in a statement to CNBC-TV18, a Walmart spokesperson said, and I quote, "We value Tiger Global's investment and support over the last several years. We remain confident in the future of Flipkart and are even more positive about the opportunity in India today than when we first invested," end quote. It is truly an end of an era at Flipkart, as co-founder Binny Bansal has also exited the company after selling his stake to Walmart. Flipkart's other co-founder, Sachin Bansal, had exited the startup in 2018 after selling his entire stake to Walmart. Back to you.
All right. Thanks, Aishwarya, for joining us. Kotak Mahindra Bank has denied a Bloomberg report which claimed the Reserve Bank is nudging the bank to pick an external CEO after Uday Kotak. The bank has said there is no formal or informal communication from the RBI on succession and potential stake sale in insurance arms. It also called the report completely incorrect and baseless. After the Jalan Kaldrock Consortium appointed an accountable manager at Jet Airways, the DGCA has renewed Jet Airways' air operator certificate for 2 months. The DGCA has said this is done for a limited purpose of completing the ongoing resolution plan. The regulator said Jet Airways will have to undergo recertification for issuance of AOC and demonstrate compliance of all applicable regulatory requirements afresh before commencing flight operations. And staying with the aviation sector, the NCLT has issued a notice to Go First Committee of Creditors on the plea by the airline's resolution professional to refund 600 crore rupees to passengers with cancelled bookings. The tribunal also advised the resolution professional to get the committee's approval for issuance of refunds. The RP has proposed gradual payout to customers once cash flows resume post-resumption of operations. Now, it's been a setback for SpiceJet today. The Delhi High Court has set aside a plea filed by SpiceJet promoter Ajay Singh challenging the arbitral award in favour of former promoter Kalanithi Maran. The High Court has also refused to waive interest, which Maran claims is 386 crore rupees. Ashmit Kumar is here with the details. Ashmit, what next for Ajay Singh and SpiceJet?
Well, the situation is complicated here as far as SpiceJet is concerned. They were hoping for some relief since the Apex Court order. The Supreme Court very clearly had said that the arbitral award becomes payable in its entirety. And since then, we've seen public statements coming in from the Maran Group where they've said it in publicly that the amount that they expect post the Supreme Court order from SpiceJet is an interest payout of 386 crore rupees. It keeps accumulating every day. Now, that's the amount in question. SpiceJet was hoping for some relief. They had challenged the original arbitral award, and as a part of that challenge, they had sought a waiver of the interest burden in question, which is 18% simple interest. That is one of the issues that was up for challenge. The Delhi High Court has answered the question unequivocally. The Delhi High Court holding that it sees absolutely no grounds at this stage to intervene, and in doing so, importantly, has done two things: has upheld the arbitral award, and number two, has not tinkered with that interest burden, so no relief being granted to SpiceJet. So another legal opportunity here that SpiceJet had goes to waste. No relief coming in for SpiceJet, and that question mark still looms over the payout of the interest burden. Marans continue to be consistent with their claim. The payout that is now required from Spice, as per the Maran Group, is 386 crores.
Thanks, Ashmit, for joining us. Now, from aviation to online travel tech platforms, Ease My Trip will acquire 51% of the aggregate paid-up share capital in 3 travel companies. This after the company's board approved the acquisition of Guideline Travels, Trip Shop Travel and Duke Travels. The company will issue equity shares to the selling shareholders of the respective companies on a preferential basis as consideration for the acquisition. Moving on to more manufacturing news now. Taiwanese firm Foxconn has upped its investment game in India, and this one in Tamil Nadu. It has signed an agreement with the Tamil Nadu government to set up a new manufacturing plant in Tamil Nadu's Kanchipuram. Jude Sanat's here with all the details. Jude, take us through the contours of the agreement, the kind of job creation, and what is the timeline for beginning production?
Well, it's one company that has kept us guessing in terms of which state it will go to set up its next sizable investment plan. And we can confirm that as of today, Foxconn will invest 1,600 crore rupees towards setting up a manufacturing facility for the making of electronic components in Tamil Nadu, in fact, just outside of Chennai in the district of Kanchipuram itself. In a meeting between Tamil Nadu Chief Minister M.K. Stalin and Foxconn's chairman Young Lee, an MOU was signed which Foxconn says, and of course the government of Tamil Nadu has confirmed, will provide 6,000 jobs by way of this investment itself. Interestingly enough, the announcement comes in the backdrop of several major companies like Mitsubishi Electric, Hyundai and Omron, to name a few, that have recently made a beeline to Tamil Nadu and make investments in terms of setting up manufacturing facilities in the state. Interestingly, Foxconn's investment is not new to Tamil Nadu. It comes aside of and separately from an existing investment that the company has made towards manufacturing of iPhones in the state of Tamil Nadu. It also comes even as Foxconn recently pulled out of a JV with Vedanta towards manufacturing semiconductors in India. However, it's important to note that this investment is purely for the manufacture of electronic components just outside Chennai in the district of Kanchipuram.
This is the largest site that we have. We have almost more than 40,000 workers altogether as of today. So definitely, that's a very big, very important base for us to grow on. And also, with the Tamil Nadu's talent pool, I think we can do, besides not just the production, but also R&D in Tamil Nadu.
All right, so big boost for manufacturing in the state of Tamil Nadu with Foxconn announcing that investment. Time for a short break, but coming up next on India Business Hour, India's Kharif crop is in danger of being highly deficient. This is due to uneven rainfall across India's agricultural belts. Detail when we're back.
The MG Cluster Blackstone. Drive unstoppable.
Helps beat sensitivity fast. Sensodyne Rapid Relief.
कैसे करते हैं ट्रेड?
ट्राई 5 पैसा। Upcoming corporate action या news flow। किसका हुआ merger, कौन है नया CEO?
Financial data मिलेगा अब हाथों हाथ, fundamental analysis से अब बनेगी बात।
With 5 पैसा's in-depth company information, always stay up to date।
कैसे करते हैं trade?
सोच मत छोटे, install मार। Investment in securities market are subject to market risk. Read all related documents carefully before investing.
I've packed my bag, it's all I'll bring. There's space in it for memories and things flowers
Perfect.
in the skies, green dragonflies 1,000 miles away. If it shines, I'll look for smiles that light up your way. Let's see. I'll take the road wherever it goes. Place that is sunny, place where it snows.
Take care of her, bro.
The kilometers you travel don't just measure distance, they measure life.
Skoda.
न्यू कार वाह इंश्योरेंस लिया
Of course.
एको तजुर्बा कहता है कि जहां से गाड़ी लो
Insurance भी वहीं से लो. Acco पे है zero commission, full benefits and low premium.
अरे क्या 200-300 रुपए बचाने के लिए
पर तजुर्बा तो कहता है कि
कौन तजुर्बा कार इंश्योरेंस हो लेना तो एको चेक कर लेना
Get the biggest business stories of the day, power packed into 30 minutes on Business 360 at these times.
I've packed my bag, it's all I'll bring. There's space in it for memories
Perfect.
and things. I'll take the road wherever it goes. Place that is sunny, place where it snows.
Take care of her, bro.
The kilometers you travel don't just measure distance, they measure life.
Skoda.
Welcome back. You're watching India Business Hour. Let's focus on Parliament, which is disrupted yet again over Manipur. The Supreme Court heard a case filed by 3 women who were sexually assaulted and paraded naked on the streets. The court pulled up the Manipur police and came down heavily on the administration for failing to provide details. The apex court asked, why did the police take 14 days to file a case? Meanwhile, the victims called for an independent probe by a special investigation team and opposed the government's move to transfer the case to CBI. India's Kharif crop, which is vital for sustaining food and vegetable supplies and controlling prices over the second half of the year, is in danger of being highly deficient. That's because of uneven rainfall across India's agricultural belts. In our ongoing series, What's Ailing Rural India, CNBC-TV18 Santya Gora reports that India may face a shortage in a variety of crops, from rice to pulses to fruits and vegetables.
First, onion crops were damaged due to a heat wave. Then unseasonal rainfall destroyed over 18 kinds of standing crops ranging from chickpeas to wheat and maize to tomatoes, cashew and mangoes. These were rabi crops. Then came a delay in the monsoons and Kharif crops like tomatoes, eggplant, beans and bottle gourd took a hit. When the monsoons finally set in, some farmers breathed a sigh of relief, but this has been short-lived because rainfall has been uneven. Data from the Indian Meteorological Department shows that till the 12th of July, rainfall in eastern and northeastern states was 19% lower than average and rainfall in the southern states was 23% below average. But in the northwestern states, rainfall was 59% above average. This has meant that the Kharif season is under pressure. For one, sowing area has fallen for many crops. Government data shows that till the 21st of July, sowing area for various pulses has dropped by over 9% from last year's level. Rice, which is mainly grown across Punjab, Haryana, West Bengal, UP and Andhra Pradesh at this time of year, has also taken a hit. Despite being a water-intensive crop, flood-like situations have damaged paddy in multiple districts in Punjab and Haryana. And farmers say re-sowing will not work. They add that this will negate the 4% rise in paddy sowing area this year.
मैं सरकार को यही कहना चाहूँगा, हमारा बहुत खर्चा होया है जी, 20-25 हज़ार रुपया खर्च दिया जी, फसल तैयार थी जी, ये रेगे ने दाब दी जी।
जो यमुना के साथ ये रेत आया है, ये कई फुट तक खेतों में जमा हो गया है, ये आपके सामने ही है, ये सारी दाल लगी हुई थी दूर तक, और अब ये देख लो सारा रेत ने ढक दी, कहीं पर रेत 2 फुट है, कहीं 3 फुट है, कहीं 4 फुट है।
सरकार अपनी तरफ से इसको हमें प्लान करके दे, या सरकार अगर नहीं ये कर सकती तो हमें इसके एक पद्धति प्लान करने के लिए सरकार हमें इसकी मंजूरी दे, ताकि हम अपनी अगली फसल के लिए, जो हमारी पिछली फसल है वो तो बर्बाद हो चुकी है, आने वाले जो टाइम है उसके लिए हम अपनी फसल को लगाने के लिए हमें खेत जो है अपने एक सारे प्लान करने के लिए इसकी परमिशन दे।
Experts say a shortage in output may force a higher food bill import.
We are looking at, the production could decline by about 7 to 8% for pulses, and in order to control the prices, we might see imports, filling in for the deficit that we are seeing in the local market. That's going to be from the standpoint of controlling inflation, which is a priority area for the government. In case of pulses, yes, there is, because of the lower production, there is going to be a tendency for the prices to go up, and it remains to be seen how that gets countered by imports from some of the African nations.
Some experts predict that the situation may keep pulses and cereal inflation in the double digits for a while longer and could force the government to take more measures to contain prices.
The government has already banned the export of non-basmati rice. Wheat stocking limits have been imposed. And I think and government is also intervening by providing or increasing supply in the market. That also tames prices. I think a mix of all these things, including imports wherever possible, I think will, particularly in pulses, will help.
Farmers, however, say that the impact of these measures will be limited simply because the full extent of the damage caused by uneven rainfalls has not played out yet or been fully factored in. In Mumbai, Santiagora.
And Tamil Nadu IT Minister and member of the GOM on online gaming has said that it's important to find consensus on how 28% GST would be charged. Speaking to Shireen Bhan, he also questioned why a group of ministers was formed if the 28% tax was just a reiteration.
All of this, I'm not sure, is the death of any industry, right? I think it's the difference between, it's like the Laffer curve, right? You make the system reasonable and a lot of people operate on the system and you get lots of revenue. You make the system unreasonable and much of it goes into the untraceable market.
Moving on, rent on hostel stays or PGs will have now be liable to 12% GST, just like small hotels and inns. This after these accommodations have been categorized as non-residential in 2 separate rulings by the Authority for Advanced Rulings in Uttar Pradesh and Karnataka. Here's Najib Shah, former CBIC, saying that other states could take a cue from the GST rulings.
Other states will take the cue from this ruling, and Uttar Pradesh and Karnataka have already given this ruling. I'm sure in both these states, the parties concerned will file an appeal. There's an appellate process available, which is again within the confined to the states of these 2 jurisdictions. The CBIC would perhaps clarify and say this is always the levy to be imposed on such PG accommodations simply because they're not residential accommodation.
And before we wrap, Reliance Retail has launched a new laptop which costs just over 16,000 rupees. The laptop, called GeoBook, is an upgraded version of the product launched in October 2022. The laptop weighs under a kilo. It has an 11.6-inch LED display with an Infinity keyboard. It also has a 2-megapixel webcam for video calls and more. Pre-orders for the device opens today. The sale starts on August 5 on JioMart, Reliance Digital and Amazon. With that, it's a wrap on this edition of India Business Hour. Thank you for watching. News and updates continue right here on CNBC TV18.